speaker today is Dr. Stephen Wan. Stephen is a researcher in computational linguistics, an interdisciplinary field that draws on both linguistics and computer science. He is interested in research that combines natural language processing, machine learning, information retrieval, and human-computer interaction techniques. With over 15 years' experience at CSIRO and Data61, he leads a team of software engineers and researchers to build novel information management and data analysis prototypes, focusing on text data ranging from social media to scientific literature. A common element for these systems is the need to extract actionable nuggets of information that will help with the user's task or information need. His team has developed systems used by both the government and private sector for areas such as business intelligence, social media monitoring, and information systems for scientific literature. Please welcome Stephen.
Thank you, Petra. Good morning, everyone. As Petra just said, my name is Stephen, and I'm a senior research scientist at CSIRO's Data61. Before I start, I'd like to also introduce a member of my team, Dr. Shaukat Abidi. Shaukat, do you want to stand up? So, Shaukat is the one that's working closely with Lease on the Accurait system. So Shaukat has been granted the CEF STEM Plus Business Fellowship to work on this project, so we're very grateful for that indeed. So we represent a group of researchers and engineers here at CSIRO's Data61 who work with language technologies, and that includes natural language processing and information retrieval methods, for example. And one of the key areas of our research focuses on finding new methods to automatically mine and transform the text in electronic documents into that extracted knowledge that can form part of an automated system that can support business decision-making processes. So here, in our work with Lease in general, we are interested in methods to identify those parts of the leases that are relevant to some business needs. And you've seen some examples of that already. In some cases, it might be to help the user to browse to the relevant part of the lease. In others, it might be to pull out those nuggets of information in the document that correspond to the key fields that would be useful in a database application or in business modeling. We're very excited to be supporting Lease by providing the research skills to adapt the latest research advances so that they can be applied into the Accurait system. And it's a very exciting time to be doing applied natural language processing, with recent advances in machine learning showing great potential for the application of these methods in an industry setting, as we've just seen. But there are, of course, technical challenges in work such as this. To start off with, as Simon said, often the leases are stored in PDFs, and these aren't born digital. So, for example, they could be scans of signed documents, and these must be first converted into a form that the computer can manipulate from a language technology point of view. But what makes the language technology more interesting is that the technology must also contend with lease documents that represent a variety of complex structures, as Simon alluded to. And this is problematic as these structures can vary from state to state and company to company. So hand-coded rules won't work in the general case. Fortunately, though, there are many advances in language technology that we can build on. For example, information extraction technology. Tools such as named entity recognition can help identify elements such as dates or financial figures in the text. And so this is a really great, really nice foundation, really nice starting point for us to build on. However, for us to extract this information in Accurait, we need to not only identify these elements, but also determine how they should be interpreted. That is, we need to automatically determine what kind of date this is, or what kind of financial figure this is. And these are fine-grained types that need to be tailored to the business use case underlying the technology and the application, in this case, Accurait. So, for example, if Accurait picks out a date, it also needs to work out if this was a commencement date or an expiration date. If it picks out monetary value, it needs to determine if this was a base rent or a rent increase. For the human reader, of course, the surrounding text provides the relevant context to interpret what that element means. However, there are a myriad of ways in which that relevant context can be worded or formatted or structured. So again, this is not a trivial task that can be encoded by hand. But this is where we can apply natural language processing methods based on machine learning to help at the end of the day. And to do this, we need to learn from large data sets, as Simon said, of leases. So these are data-hungry methods, but they can help at the end of the day. And so these data sets provide many examples of the different structures that we're going to encounter as we apply the tool in a RHEL setting. And it will also cover the different types of language use that will be used from contract to contract. And so the machine learning methods, at the end of the day, they are attempting to try and find those patterns in the contextual data that can help us to identify reliably how those nuggets of information can be interpreted and how they can be used downstream in the rest of the Accurait system. So all this hinges on there being available data. I don't quite remember the exact words that I said to Simon, but I did say in that first meeting that these would be potentially data-hungry methods. But that's what makes this project such a compelling one. LeaseInfo were able to bring data sets to the table immediately, and they were keen to work with us to employ data markup processes to enrich these data sets with the annotations and the business-oriented metadata that are necessary for machine learning. So crucially, the metadata annotations that are used, these are chosen with the business needs in mind. And the annotations that are added to the data are the result of LeaseInfo's years of experience in the domain. And this gives us, at the end of the day, the right set of metadata for the machine learning that we have deployed in Accurait. For us, for Sharkat and myself and the rest of the team at CSIRO's Data61, our applied research scope is to then help to use that enriched data to build better and better models that can translate to an improved user experience with Accurait. And with the current rate of progress in machine learning, there are always new and interesting techniques that might be relevant to this work, and we're always looking at these. So an important part of our ongoing role is to help LeaseInfo to investigate the merits of these new methods and identify how these new approaches can then be rolled into the Accurait system. And this might be a combination of the leading approaches that will help Accurait maintain its competitive edge. Indeed, the research is strongly governed by business needs, and the deployment of the research into Accurait is the result of the hard work and combined efforts of both Accurait's wonderful software engineers and the researchers here at CSIRO's Data61, who together decide on how to integrate and capitalize on those research outcomes. This makes LeaseInfo's and Data61 relationship a great one. It's a combination of that enriched data, the applied research know-how, the scope of work that's grounded in a very nice real-world application, the domain expertise of LeaseInfo, and Data61's collective experience in deploying applied research. So on the horizon, there are many research avenues to consider. We will prioritize these, of course, with LeaseInfo, who will no doubt be guided by what makes sense to the end users of Accurait. However, one area that shows promise is machine learning for natural language interfaces that might allow us to pose questions about a lease to the system and have the system generate an answer. So, for example, imagine if we could ask the system something like, who is responsible for the air conditioning maintenance? Which might be a piece of information that is needed as part of the business workflow. It might be interesting then to have the system automatically mine the entire contract to find that answer, which might be the lessor is responsible, for example. But that's future work, and we'll save that for another day. For now, let me just say that we are very happy to have been part of the journey with LeaseInfo and congratulate them on the launch of Accurait to date.